Hello, and welcome to MrDudeManSir. And today, I am kind of reading a fanfiction of Corpse Party. And the reason I am doing this is because I just finished Corpse Party Book of Shadows. And you know, that's kind of like the big thing on my channel, is what got me started. It got me big, and it was like one of my biggest Let's Plays ever, and now it's ended. So I was like, well, the ending of Book of Shadows was terrible, so why not make it an actual kind of ending? And why not make it even more entertaining by making it one of my favorite ships like ever of all time? And that is the Seiko Naomi ship. And so I will be reading a fanfiction about Seiko and Naomi right now. Yeah, that's basically my excuse for doing this. I'm just gonna go on before I sound too weird. So, it is called Never Without You. Gulping back as much anxiety as possible, Naomi gently hugged Seiko's waist a little tighter and peered over his best friend's shoulder in anticipation. Seiko, I'm not sure this is such a good idea. Oh, come on, Naomi. Don't tell me you're chickening out now. I'm not chickening out. I just happen to value my life. Seiko playfully rolled her eyes at the taller girl's dramatics and continued to stare at the obstacle before them with fierce determination. Where's your sense of adventure, Naomi? Somewhere between my house and here. The deep dip of the hill, plus the thought of all the bumps and craters that continued through the twisted road, made her feel sick enough to her stomach just thinking about it. We're going to die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die. Stop worrying so much, we'll be just fine. It's not as though Seiko was incapable of riding a two-person bike. It was just the fact that the bike that they were currently on was only meant for one. Deciding to put a little more faith in her friend's judgment though, Naomi was about to give her approval for the ride to begin. But before she could, Seiko had already pushed off the ground and set them downhill at alarming speed. Seiko! Just hang on and enjoy the ride, Naomi. The bakery closes half an hour and we have to hurry. Not liking at all how quickly the trees and other park occupants were rushing by, Naomi slammed her eyes shut and pressed her body further into Seiko's back, praying for a miracle. The feeling, though, caused the smaller girl to momentarily lose focus and almost skid straight off the road. Seiko, what are you doing? Snapping back into reality, the lighter-haired brunette gave an innocent shrug and proceeded to shift her gears and continued their sugar-made baked goods pursuit. Not 10 seconds after, though, a light pop was heard, catching each of the high school students' attention. Peering down, both saw that the front tire of Seiko's bike had blown out and was beginning to cause the entire mechanism to shake violently. Not long after, the rest of whatever force of gravity that had been keeping the two girls upright broke free and sent both sailing through the air, forcing each to land in a large opening of the park. Thankfully, the grasses broke most of the fall. Ow. Ow. Hurt. Seiko, I told you. Rubbing the side of her head and taking most of the impact, Naomi spoke with a teasing yet scolding voice, despite how horrified she had been seconds ago. However, the pixie-haired girl's smile was immediately wiped from her face at the sight of Seiko's knee, which was scraped up and bleeding profusely. Seiko! Naomi, are you alright? You're bleeding! Peering down at herself, having not even felt the cut, Seiko looked back up at the large concerned eyes as she watched the panic on Naomi's face become worse by the second. It doesn't even hurt, Naomi. It's no problem. Once again interrupting her best friend, the taller girl raced forward and began to check Seiko gently for more injuries, all the while apologizing for a young girl who had been severely yelled at by her parents. I'm so sorry, Seiko. Why are you sorry? We have to clean your knee up and... oh god, I'm sorry, I can pay for a new bike tire. Naomi, I shouldn't have broken it. It was an accident, I didn't mean to. Naomi, does anything else hurt? I can run and get you help if you concussion or... Enough! Startled by Seiko suddenly standing out with a shout, Naomi felt her rear collide back into the ground as she looked up and tried not to shudder at the downright furious look her friend on her face. It was not your fault, it was mine. I shouldn't have suggested we both go down at once. Tires snap all the time from distance, not weight. This was just a coincidence. But Bending down until she was squatted right before her teary-eyed friend, Seiko lightly lifted Naomi's quivering chin and forced the taller girl to meet her gaze. No buts. You don't need to place all the burden on yourself, Naomi. This is what friends are for. They make your problems theirs as well. And I promise you, I'm not mad at all. Seiko, Letting a few tears fall at Seiko's words, Naomi shut her eyes and began to cry softly as she continued to murmur small apologies under her breath, but this time along with some shy thank yous. Smiling brightly, Seiko moved her hand up to pat her best friend on the head. Naomi's a good girl. Retracting her hand quickly, the small girl watched as Naomi moved to touch her head gently, only to draw back and cringe at the pain. Naomi, did you hit your head when we landed? Yeah, I think so. Why didn't you tell me? Having the previous roles reversed in a complete 180, Seiko began to examine Naomi completely and ask her what the date, year, home address, and homeroom number they shared was in a flurry of panic. The taller girl could only laugh and pull her ridiculous friend in for a hug and a light smack over the head. You weirdo. Not even realizing that her little episode that had been observed, both laughing teens were oblivious to the fact that Satoshi, Mayu, Yuka, and Yoshiki had witnessed everything from a nearby bench. The four students had been simply enjoying their crepes, and ended up seeing an entire exchange of mixes of smug and giddy expressions. Watching as his friends hugged out the worries and began to laugh with one another, Satoshi turned to the only blonde friend in their group and held up a $20 bill. I'm willing to bet they're a couple at the end of the year. That delinquent smirked in response and held out his hand in a challenge. Please, I'll give it 2 months. That was good.